If you're from Lafayette, Louisiana, chances are you've heard of, met, or been impacted by Rusty Noel.
After every single national championship we win, he gives like a ring to the mayor.
21st, 22nd, and 23rd national championship in 13 years.
My goodness.
And we could not have done it without the support and the help from Lafayette Parish, and the surrounding areas. I mean, we just could not do that without the support. Also wanted to give you a little something.
Oh, wow.
We just got those in, and that's actually our, you're getting the first one.
I went to his house, and he has like a corner of like about 100 trophies.
The crazy thing is you can go anywhere around here in town and you say, do you know Rusty Noel? And everybody knows Rusty Noel.
He's won dozens of youth football national championships, but he's more than just a coach.
There's just really no one quite like him around here, particularly with the True Talent Games and the All-American Games, and bringing kids from all over the country back into our area and all over, and allowing those children opportunities to have just incredible experiences.
We've become so close that he was actually at the birth of my fourth child. He's just a great guy. You can't ask for a better person.
Growing up, my mom wasn't able to afford certain things. He would always step in and get those things for me, like my Letterman jacket in high school, class rings. He was always there walking me for homecoming court. He walked me down the aisle on my wedding day. He was basically the father figure in my life.
He's kind of like a second dad to me, so it's kind of like we're very close. We do more than just football. You know, anytime I need anything, Coach Russ is one call away. I can call him for anything, and he'll help me out. No matter what he's doing, any time of the day, he can be out of town. He's gonna help me somehow. He's gonna find a way to make sure I got help.
To know why Rusty is so successful, you must first look at where he came from. His rough home life was hard to endure as a kid, being the youngest of 4 siblings and having both parents who were alcoholics.
They may have said it as a joke, but some of the words that I'll never forget is being called their accident, and that, I wasn't planned, I was an accident. I have 3 siblings, a brother that's 11 years older than me, one that's 10 years older than me, and my sister 7 years older than me. My oldest brother was already married and out the house. My brother that's 11 years younger than me, he had went into the military and come out, and my sister had got married at a very young age. So by the time I got into the middle school years, I was basically almost an only child again. The abuse in the household at a young age was just horrific. It was mainly by my older brother. I can remember him coming home from the military. I was in 4th grade, and man, he just bullied and tortured. He did everything possible to just horrorize me, and part of that has never left me. It's hard to talk about. People that know my family, really close, still doesn't know till this day a lot of that.
While his childhood was challenging, as he grew into a young adult, he began to face more hardships after his parents divorced going into high school.
My dad moved in with his girlfriend. She wouldn't let him have anything to do with his kids. Now that was coming from him. I hadn't met the lady at all and didn't meet her till later on in life. My mom had moved to Lafayette in a 1-bedroom apartment, and man, I found myself just kind of bouncing around with nowhere to go and nothing to do. Before I'd found a job, I lied on a minor's work release, signed the paperwork with my mom's signature to get a job in the plants. But prior to that, man, I was bouncing around, living on friends' couches, sleeping at this house, that house, sleeping in my car. Once I was able to get a job that paid well, I found this little old 1-bedroom efficiency house behind a house that I was able to kind of move into towards the end. I hid it well because I was very embarrassed. I was ashamed. When you're in high school, the pressure to dress the same as everybody else, and new shoes and new this, and it was hard enough to try to keep up. I can remember borrowing clothes from a friend here and there to where I just kind of somewhat fit in. So I definitely didn't want anybody to know, the extent of how bad it was and my situation. I have a good friend that's a dentist here in town, and he and I were talking about a year ago or so, and I was having some trouble with my back teeth, and I showed him. He said, "Man, you're almost 50, and you still have your wisdom teeth in the back." I said, "Yeah, that's my back teeth." I can remember my wisdom teeth were hurting so bad. I was a teenager and probably needed surgery to take them out. Probably the most horrific pain I've ever had to endure, but I used vice grips to pull my 2 back molars out to make room for my wisdom teeth to come out in the back. And they're both still there. My top wisdom teeth are still in, but I had to pull my molars out. I honestly thought that was where the pain was coming from, so I figured if I just pull my 2 teeth out, the pain would stop. And yes and no. I mean, the pain was horrific for about 3 weeks, but my wisdom teeth are out, and I still to this day at almost 50 years old still use them as my back teeth.
Despite all the pain faced and adversity overcome, Rusty always had one thing to fall back on throughout his life as an escape: football.
Football was a blessing. I was able to meet some great friends, lifelong friends that we're still friends with today. And the crazy part is that's where I was getting the family and the love from, was actual playing ball. I began to start realizing and making friends, and it became a family. It kind of gave me everything on the field that I didn't have off the field. It kind of gave me the family. The coaches kind of gave me the structure and discipline, and the beating and banging kind of let me get my aggression out without getting in trouble. I had some great coaches along the way that, Coach Mike and Coach Matt Viator. If it wasn't for those guys, I don't know where I would be today. They didn't know then how they impacted my life as coaches and mentors. They both do now. I have made it my goal to let them know just, what they mean to me and what football did for me. We still, and when I say we, it's a family affair, and we use football till this day to change lives. Coach Brando, and he just passed away recently. The blessing was I was able to really talk to him prior to him passing away and let him know the impact he had on me. There was just some times I needed somebody to talk to. He was always there. And then Coach Mike Viator, Coach Mike was just such a great guy, and he didn't know, he does now, the impact he made on me, just being there if I needed something. He's the reason I wanted to become a coach. I knew the impact he had on me, and I always thought, man, if I could ever get in that position to coach and make an impact like he did, I want to do that. That's what I want to do.
After high school, Rusty would make the move to his future residence of Lafayette.
My mom got sick. She had a lot of heart issues, and I decided I was going to, take care of my mother and try to do the right thing. For the first good period of time, I slept on her floor. She had a 1-bedroom apartment. I slept on the couch and the floor, and helped her out. Everything happens for a reason. I'm a believer in that. I ended up here in Lafayette and took out student loans and grants and every bit of money I could borrow to go to UL. It was US at the time, and worked 3 part-time jobs to try to take care of my mother.
Growing up was horrible, and once Rusty got of age, he started playing football as an escape. I guess once he got older, he started coaching and mentoring younger kids that were in abusive relationships, at home. And I guess it made him feel better to do so.
While he might have felt like his days on the field were over, he would soon find out they were just beginning.
I knew I always wanted to give back some kind of way, just like the coaches had done for me at an early age. When I'd first moved to Lafayette, in the end of 92, 93, there was a youth football opening for a coach here, and I started coaching right away. As odd as it seems, I ran across a young man who was in an explosive household. We lived in the same apartment complex, and I just so happened to be coaching this young man. I can remember, his mom beating him with coat hangers and things of that sort, and I'm just a kid myself, and I can remember taking this kid in and really impacting this kid and making him understand that, that's not normal. This kid thought that kind of behavior was normal from his mom and dad, beating on him and that kind of stuff. And I can remember him running away to my house, and we would just have to hide him until his parents sobered up. And that was early on. That was my first year coaching. And like I said, I was young, in college, volunteering to do this, and seeing the impact that I made on this young man, man, it was just contagious. And I realized there was so many more kids out there like myself that I wanted to do as much as I could to reach out and help.
While Rusty was balancing his coaching, school, and work, he would soon be introduced to another person who would impact him far more than he knew, his future wife, Nicole.
That goes back to, like I said, everything happens for a reason. I ended up back here in Lafayette, and I met her in school. We had two of the same classes at USL at the time, and we would fight like brother and sister in class. And we had a teacher that said, y'all gonna end up married one day. And it was kind of funny, but 20-something years later, we've been married 25 years this year, but we were together 2 years prior to being married. Here we are. She was instantly my best friend and still is to this day.
When I met him, he was a softball girls coach. So he coached softball girls, that's where he started out, because he had just moved to town and he was helping his aunt with coaching girls softball. And that's kind of how he got into the coaching thing, and then it just geared into football. And then as our kids got older, that's kind of how it just kept going and going and going. He supports me for whatever I want to do. Every once in a while, I have to say, okay, we have a weekend. What do you have planned? Okay, nothing, good, leave it like that, because I need a break.
When my son was playing ball, when I'm coaching ball, she's there and 100% supportive because she sees what it does for lives. She really, really, truly understands that it's bigger than football. She just supports me. There's sometimes I'll have some crazy, wild ideas, and she's just all on board. I still get emotional talking about this. Every year we have signing day where kids sign to play college football. We call it life-changing day. And all day long, she's watching the internet going, hey, did you see such and such signed here? Did you see this one? And I'm on the phone going, I'm here. I'm bouncing around trying to make as many of these signings as possible. When these kids sign and get that free education to go off, it changes lives and people don't get it. But some of these kids have no other way out. It's life-changing for them. And so her biggest impact for me is just the support system. She's always there for my shenanigans, whatever. I can remember telling her, hey, look, we don't want to take a vacation this year. Can I take that vacation money that we saved and fly some kids to Washington, D.C. for an All-American game? She said, what do you mean? She says, why don't we just put it in the bank and pay some more bills? And I said, well, it's an opportunity for these kids. And she says, well, heck yeah, go ahead. And we'll take our own money and just fly kids to give them another experience. And she's for it. Whatever I ask her, she's just like, okay, because she sees that direct impact.
Obviously, as a coach's wife, there's a lot of sacrifices that you have to make. So just why do you choose to do that?
Because it's what makes him happy. That's what he loves to do. It's what if he were to lose the football part, he wouldn't be Rusty.
Rusty and Nicole met in 1994 and were married in 1996. They have 3 kids together, Todd, Hannah, and Hayden. Each has a unique and interesting bond with their dad.
I can't remember a practice or a football game or track meet or basketball game, whatever I was doing at the time, I can't remember him not being there unless it was actually he was out of town for work, if he really couldn't be there. And I knew that he didn't have that growing up. So I knew that he vowed to never miss a game and almost never miss a practice. And that not only for me, but for my brother and sister as well. So I think I'm very blessed to have somebody that, to have one parent, let alone two, who has pretty much been there with me every step of the way. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for both of them. My dad was a big influence on my life, being, the father and the football figure. But, I mean, I couldn't be where I am without both of them today.
I have not missed an event with him since I was pretty much able to walk around. Anytime he was going in the car, if he left me, I would cry, and my mom would have to bring me to him. Whether it was football, whether it was softball, whether it was a cookout, it didn't matter. I was up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning making sure he didn't leave me. My dad is everything. I don't know what I would do without him. I know football is his thing, but he has coached me in everything he could possibly learn, from softball to volleyball. He tried to coach me in basketball, and that didn't go so well, but it was still fun.
Even though I'm a basketball player and we traveled everywhere, he came to just about every AAU basketball game, every high school basketball game. He always talked me up whenever I was like not getting enough play time, something like that, where I thought about quitting. He was always there to make sure that I did not quit, and I kept working and kept working. Yeah, he was always there at every game. It makes me feel really happy. Watching him and Todd and my mom and basically my whole family work with the younger kids gave me my love for working with little kids. Him bringing me to all these events and stuff like that to work with the kids, it makes me so much happy, and to see him always happy working with kids is great. He's been an amazing father to me, and he's also been an amazing father to his one grandkid that he has currently, and he's not going to change. He's going to be amazing till time ends.
While his family plays a big role behind the scenes on game days, Rusty coaches up his football family, and it's a family that has had a lot of success.
We've won a lot of national championships, from the Big Dog Bowls in California to the FCS national championships in Florida. Back in the day, they used to have the U.S. Select National Championships, which was kind of open. This was way before they had, the YNC and things like this. And we've been successful with that. I've been blessed to coach in All-American games around the country. I've coached in 31 All-American games. I just left Virginia last month with my 30th win. I've won 30 out of 31 All-American games that I coached in. I was a head coach at Team USA. I took our United States team down to Mexico and won in our age group, and we played an age group above us and won that game as well.
Former players Rusty has coached, like Fitzgerald West and Shane Vallow, have made a name for themselves at different levels.
I was a sophomore preseason All-American, All-State, All-District. This year, if we win the state championship, I'll be the first in the nation to win all 5. From 8th grade all the way to senior year, I think I'll be the first in the nation.
I'm currently a redshirt senior for the University of Louisiana Raging Cajuns. I actually was a walk-on, so I walked on at the University of Louisiana. My second year, I got put on full ride scholarship. Coach Rusty was right there when it happened. He was there in the room. One thing I thought was pretty cool was when he does his Lafayette Swampcats banquet every year, he has an award named after me. It's called the Shane Vallow Hard Working Award. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Those two are just a few who have gotten the chance to compete at the next level. Rusty says over 60 kids have gone on to play college football, but that's not the biggest plus for him.
We just had our 68th signed to play college ball out of only 6 teams that's graduated high school. So 68 out of 6 teams. We have 3 that signed free agent this year that are going through trying to make rosters. They got agents, they're in camps, and they're trying to make rosters in the NFL. We have 3 of those young men. The bigger part of that is, I think we worked out the percentages the other day, 95% or either have already graduated with their degree or on course to graduate with their degree. And that's bigger for me than anything else. That's life-changing.
Rusty's approach to coaching and building relationships has been a big part in the success of his teams.
Just don't quit on me. It's not a race, just don't quit on me.
You got it.
His vision might be a little different than other coaches.
I coach hard, but I love them even harder. And I think those kids get that and they feel it. You know, kind of like back when I played, it wasn't so much for the win or loss. I thought so much of Coach, I didn't want to let him down. And that meant everything to me. And I think those kids feel that. And they'll do whatever we ask, and they just don't want to let me down, and they play harder. The success has been there, but it's definitely a byproduct of how you coach and how you treat kids. I got a trophy room that's bigger than most high schools in this area. It's in a spot that's not out wide open to where just anybody can go and see it. It's not out for bragging. If somebody does see it, they said, you know, man, that's a lot of championships, a lot of trophies. And I said, yeah, but I look at it as a lot of memories. I can touch each trophy and tell you something about a kid or kids from each of those teams and that game specific and different things. And that's what that means to me. It don't mean championships, it means memories. And that's why we do what we do.
The way he approaches the game may be unorthodox. Every coach wants to win, of course, but not every coach wants what's best for his players when the lights aren't shining. Not Rusty.
Anybody who can afford to do stuff like this can join a program or a group, but you have to have somebody who's willing to give of themselves, you know, monetarily, in addition to their time, that can open up those opportunities for everybody else to be able to enjoy it. It's my favorite thing about him. You know, he doesn't have to do that, and he's selfless and he's kind and he's giving, and there's not a lot of people that would be willing to do the things that he's done.
He cares a lot about these kids. He will not let any kid go without, whether it's cleats, helmets, shoulder pads, socks. It doesn't matter what it is. No kid will go without.
Rusty on the field, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better football coach. Super motivating. You know, he'll talk to the kids and he'll make me want to get out there and play with them. You know, he knows how to motivate these kids.
That's how you play football right there. That's how you play. Keep it up. Keep it up right there. Just keep going. Who wants that ring? Who wants that ring?
Off the field, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better person. I mean, the man will literally give the shirt off his back if you need it, you know. To him, it's all about these kids.
I mean, I think all the kids that have coached by him just, they were all impacted in some way, whether it was just football or if it was just life. Because, I mean, you just don't know where the kids come from. You don't know their backgrounds, not all of them. So some of them have it rough, some of them have it good, you know, but he tries to impact every one of them however he can.
The impact he has had on some is already evident. As a coach, his strategies have led him to numerous big wins, but even his former players say that's not what he was always about.
He's a good coach. He's a great coach. He's very family-oriented. We have fun when we go to tournaments and stuff like that. It's never all about football.
Of course, everybody wants to win, but it's more of trying to build you as a person and as a kid. And that was the biggest thing that stuck with me, was that it wasn't just about winning with him.
As a coach, he always was a positive coach. Like his impact was very, very positive. Everybody loved him. He's this funny coach. He clowns with his players. He interacts with his players well. Everyone he brings a positive atmosphere, and like everyone's always happy. Like it's amazing. Like it's to be around him. You could kind of say it's a privilege, because it's not a dull moment with him.
Sometimes Rusty has even played a role beyond just coaching in the lives of these kids. Trey, for example, is one of those kids. Rusty ended up taking Trey in and giving him a place to stay when he learned his story.
I grew up hard. I grew up really hard, you know what I'm saying, with my father not being around, and my mother, she was in and out of prison. Seeing how his struggle from how he came up and my struggle, it has some differences, but it still has the similarities. It's either way, a struggle is a struggle.
Our first young man we took in was Trey. He played football for me, and that was a powerful weekend. We went out of town and we were playing in Baton Rouge. We had a couple of age groups. So when our age group was done, my oldest son Todd was on that team. My wife says, look, I'm going back home. My son jumped in with her, and Trey had rode with us, with me, and said, well, Coach, can I just stay and ride with you home? I said, yeah. So he did, and we talked a little bit on the way home, and then we had to go back Sunday to play. Well, Sunday on the way home, it was just he and myself, and we got to talking. He kind of opened up about his situation, and it really mirrored mine. Found out that he didn't have anywhere to go, that he was kind of bouncing around and staying with that grandma or aunt or wherever. He didn't have a place to call home. So I didn't think twice about it. Didn't have a chance to call and talk to my wife about it. I just drove home, and when he got there, I said, go upstairs and take a shower. She looks at me and says, well, what's he doing here? They got school tomorrow. So I said, well, we need to talk. So we had a long talk, and I kind of told her about Trey's situation, and she broke down crying. She was really, just sad that somebody else was going through that situation. And she says, well, it wasn't of, well, we don't have room for another child or we can't take anybody in. She was like, well, what do we need to do?
My mother and Rusty and Nicole had ended up contacting each other. My mom ended up contacting them, and they had this little secret thing going on back door that I didn't know of. So one day he called me. I was to their house. I was sleeping over to their house. He had called me over to the room. He asked me. He was like, "How would you like, if you would like to live with us and go to school and be with us?" I was excited. Like, I thought it was a joke. Like, I didn't believe it. Like, I'm all for it because I was experiencing new things. Like, in the love that I was receiving, it was something that you didn't want to lose at all. Like, it was wonderful. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt just right at home.
I mean, the rest was history. We took custody of him. We got all the paperwork signed to take custody of him. Got him enrolled in school. Got his school uniforms. Got him all set up, and just took care of him like he was our own. I can remember my kids fussing a little bit because not because he was there. I showed a lot of favoritism. First Christmas he was with us, he obviously got way more gifts than they did, and they were young at the time, so they're like, "Hey, what's up with this?" Well, I just was trying to overcompensate a lot. I really wanted him to feel loved and understand that he was part of the family, and make things happen for him and make sure he turned out to just be a good person.
That's gonna forever be my father. Like, that's always a father figure to me. Rusty, Nicole, that's always gonna be my mother figure, and that's always be my brothers and sisters. What they did was amazing, and like, it made me a better person. It made me like more people. It made me more open. It made me see things bigger. It made me more optimistic.
Trey wouldn't be the only kid that Rusty would take in, as shortly after he also lended a hand to another kid, Aubrey, from an area high school who was in need.
Right after Trey had left, I got a call from a coach at Como High School and said, hey coach, we have a situation. And I said, well, what's your situation? We have a young man that he doesn't have anywhere to go. Mom, dad, there's issues, and he's just homeless and has nowhere to go. I said, well, let me talk to Nicole, but I'm going to let you know I'm on the way to the school to pick him up. I kind of broke it to her that, not that, asking, just told her, hey, we have another young man come and live with us. He came in and lived with us for about a year. They were older, graduated high school. And I think one of my best things to see about this young man, he has a wife and 3 kids. And I watch him on social media, and we talk a lot. And he is just an incredible husband and an incredible father. Watching him with his 3 kids, you realized, man, you helped a kid break a cycle like somebody helped you. Man, that's everything to me, to just watch him be that great dad to these 3 beautiful girls. And that's the ticket. That's it. That's winning.
Rusty's outlet to reach local athletes comes in several different avenues, but namely from his Lafayette Swampcats. He founded the organization in 2007 and has been coaching and running operations since.
I was in 7th grade at the time, and he wanted youth kids to be able to have something that for kids who who only played football and didn't play anything else, he wanted them to still have something to do to keep them out of trouble, keep them off the streets, or just to keep them busy and get better.
We started Lafayette Swampcats as a travel team. I can remember there was no travel teams in our area. We were having to travel to New Orleans and Houston just to play one game. I would be on the phone, basically we'd practice all week, and I would be on the phone every night begging for a game on Saturday. So we practiced all week, not even know if we would have a game that week. Man, when I would get a coach to say, yeah, coach, I'll play you, man, it was like Christmas morning. I'd go run to practice and say, we got a game Saturday. Where? Houston. Oh, so we'd take off and drive to Houston and play one game, go to New Orleans and play one game. We just went wherever anybody would play us. And people used to tell us, and then they started tournament ball, and people used to tell me, you can't play tournament ball with football. Well, now everybody has tournament ball, and it just grew, and the organizations in Lafayette has just expanded.
He was really the driving force of select football to really come into Lafayette. And then with that came true talent, where now he's getting kids from all over the country and then different countries just to come play one game and get posted on the internet for some views. And it's just pretty crazy. I never thought it would get to this point.
As travel football began to catch on in the area, it became evident that what the Swampcats were doing was a bit different than other organizations in town and across the country.
We started with just two age groups. Me and Vance Roberts started Lafayette Swampcats, and we had two age groups. He would coach one, I would coach one. We grew it into, like this year, we're gonna have 5 teams, 120 plus kids. It's our biggest year yet, so it just grows every year. And the word gets out that, you know, it's bigger than football. So if they're playing for an organization that's all about wins and there's a lot of chaos and yelling and screaming and just all that, it gets out that we're not like that. And people just want to get away and bring their kids from away from that and come into an environment like we do.
I just remember kind of being caught off guard, seeing so many kids there at one time and him having personal relationships with all the families, all of the coaches. You know, it wasn't just the kids. And I remember feeling for somebody, and we were relatively new to the area, I remember feeling very early on that it was a family kind of situation and maybe something that we needed in our lives from other people, and it's kind of stuck. So here we are, you know, 9-10 years later, and it's still that family environment. People really want to be a part of this organization because of everything that it means for the kids and for the community. It just is, it's special. It's just special.
It's a great organization. They develop players. They teach them how to be, you know, great young people. It's just a lot of fun traveling all over the world with them, playing football, playing the sports you love.
It was very easy for us to get involved because, you know, we weren't just one of those, you know, sit on the sideline type people either. You know, we want to get in and be involved as well. And, you know, ended up being, you know, she was ended up being one of the ones helping Nicole, and I became the athletic director.
A lot of times we'll end the year with a big tournament, either like in Florida or California. It's just a great program. It gives the kids a chance to see football outside of our area here and see different talents and meet different kids and you know, socialize. And you know, we focus a lot on teaching the kids not just football but life lessons as well.
The Swampcats take sort of a philanthropic approach in how they operate, hoping to build football players not only as athletes but as young men. Rusty coined a phrase that resonates in everything he does as a coach.
We have a saying in our household, and man, it's on every jersey, it's on every ring, everything we do. It's bigger than football. And people kind of laugh and they think it's a cliche, but they don't know me and they don't understand it until they get to know me and around me. I've always had this philosophy that if we teach these kids to be better young men and young ladies, because I've coached several young ladies along the way, if we teach them to be better people, responsibility, work ethic, if we teach all these things that are life lessons, the winning comes as a byproduct, and we try to make it that way. We try to make winning second, and I know it's tough. Dabo Sweeney said it best, you know, if We can win all we want, but if we're not making them better people, we've lost as mentors and coaches, and that's what we try to do.
That was the biggest thing. It's like, it's bigger than football for him. Everybody cares about winning. He wants to win, but for him, it's more of like, he wants the kids to win on and off the field.
Once you're in the program, you're part of a family, and it's something that we kind of all believe in, and he's got a saying that it's bigger than football, and it truly is. Once you're part of the organization, you're part of it. It seems like for life,
Nicole was able to see firsthand the impact that Rusty and herself have had on former players and kids on a trip the two took in 2018.
We go to a lot of football games, and I'll never forget, we're at TCU versus Southern game. I told her, I said, well, one of our players, Hunter Register's playing for Southern. She says, oh, really? She says, well, let's go down to the visiting tunnel, see if we can see him when he comes out. So we get down there, and the whole team's in the tunnel. And, I mean, Hunter's like 6'6", 6'7". And I see him in the back, and I hollered and waved. And, man, next thing I know, he comes through the whole crowd, and he climbs up the wall, like 12-foot wall, to give her a hug and a kiss. I think she spent the whole first quarter damn near tearing up and crying, but she realizes you just impact these kids, and it's different.
One of Rusty's biggest principles within his programs are giving back. When he sees some of his past players doing the same thing, he said there's almost nothing better.
I think that's one of my biggest rewards, when I see these kids giving back. We have a lot that are playing college ball right now, and to watch them come back and do camps and just come help coach and mentor kids. One of my biggest things that I like is if I have a kid that I'm coaching and he's kind of struggling or maybe just down on himself. I got a receiver right now he's just a small kid. Can't help that. Excellent receiver, great hands, but he's just down on himself. Man, I picked up the phone and called a D1 receiver that I coached that wasn't much bigger than him, and just had this kid, hey, can you make a phone call for me? This is what's going on. Absolutely, coach. And now they're friends on social media, and they talk back and forth, and he just helped this kid. That means everything to me when I ask these kids, look, and I tell them all, look, when you leave me and you go to college, you go to the NFL, whatever, I don't want time, I don't want money, I don't want no donations, I don't want all this, I want your time. Come give a little bit of time back. Give a little time back, and that's all I ever ask for you to do. Come let these kids know that you were here, you were sitting right here where they're at now, and tell them what it takes to get to that point. Tell them it wasn't easy. Don't lie to them. Tell them it wasn't easy, and they might not have a shot to get there, but come back and give me your time. And man, when I watch these kids that I've coached come back and give this time, and I guess some of the best thing to do is when you hear, some of the best things to me is when I hear some of the things I used to tell them, like it's bigger than football or things like that. I just have to sit back and smile a little bit and say, yeah, he gets it. He was paying attention. He really did get it. And that's everything. That's everything.
To say that Rusty has inspired the kids he's coached would be an understatement. He's even encouraged some to get into coaching themselves, even at a young age, all part of giving back.
Coach Rusty actually reached out to me. He's like, hey man, we got a younger age group, 12 and 13-year-olds who were kind of looking for some help coaching. And at the time, one of our high school football coaches was actually coaching there also. And he called me, he's like, hey, you want to come help me coach the offensive line? I was like, heck yeah, I'll do it, man, So I went out there and I fell in love with it, like immediately. Like as soon as we started doing it, I went to all the tournaments out of town, in town. Everything was just fun, being around the whole Swampcat family and being around Coach Rusty.
When I was 14 and wasn't old enough to play for his team anymore, I had to go play for high school. I wanted something else to do that was with football. So he said, I started coaching around 14, 15, so how about you come coach with me? And that's kind of where my coaching career started, and I've been coaching with him ever since. I'm 24 now, so it's been 10 years.
He had a huge impact on me because before my freshman year in high school, I wanted to kind of coach, but I was kind of just wanting to be like a PE coach. And then kind of when I met him and kind of saw the way he did things, it kind of made me want to be a high school football coach or even a college football coach. So I think it made a huge impact on my life because now that's something that I'm now a fifth-year senior at UL, and I still want to be a college or high school football coach. So that kind of made a big impact on my decision on what I want to do in my career for the rest of my life.
Helping to provide these experiences for the kids on his teams or in his program has made a lasting impression not only on them, but on his own family too.
From where I came from, you know, like we didn't go far. Like it wasn't, you know what I'm saying? I never been out of the city of Lafayette until, you know, I met him. So the experience for me was thrilling. It was exciting, like, and I loved it. Like he made me see a bigger picture in all kinds of ways. He showed everyone the same love. Like it wasn't, no matter what skin color you was, like you're gonna receive the same love of everybody in the same room. He's a man that goes beyond. So being next to him made me be a better man, and to see how he put his kids first and always had his things together, even though things might seem a little crazy, he always kept his composure, and he's always like his drive is amazing. Like it's all about being together and making things better for each other.
He treats these kids like they're his own. We have, even for some trips that their parents can't really travel to the games, we'll have 4 or 5 kids staying at our house in the living room, just like a big old sleepover party the night before we have to travel to, like, say, Houston or Dallas or even Florida. And it's just, these kids are like, they're like my little brothers to me, like family sense. I mean, they're always at our house on the weekends with their families. So it's just the passion that really drives him to do what he does.
There's a lot of nights where Friday night we'll go to sleep, and Saturday morning at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, the whole house is getting woke up because there's 20 kids running around, and we're like, where did y'all come from? And they are just happy-go-lucky. They're happy to be at Coach's house. They want to go swimming. They literally will come in my room at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and take my child and just run around the house and play. Like our house has always been their house, so they all have had a strong impact with him being a coach and like a guardian figure, you know, outside of football.
His relationships are pretty strong with his kids. You know, it's all about the kids for him. You know, it's even if you're not in the program with us, you know, he has relationships with kids all over. If he sees another kid on another team make a good play, he'll congratulate that kid and tell that kid good job. If one of the kids gets hurt on another team, he's the first one there to check on the kid, you know, before their own coaches sometimes.
Family's gonna be there for you all the time. You know, you had that, you growing up, you knew that. But to know that somebody else that's outside of your family who's become family is huge, to know that they care about you. And anytime, like I said, anytime you need anything, he's there. And it's a big impact on me, because now I'm turning around and I want to do the same thing for these kids growing up and for friends and family around me. I try to do the same thing for them now, and I think it's because of what the stone that Rusty has set on me.
All that has led to some incredible experiences and shared moments together. Whether it be in games or on trips, Coach Rusty is always creating memories for kids and even coaches.
At the end of some games, you just see him run out there and just grab kids, or at the end of a certain play, he'll just run out there and a kid will make a good play, and it'll be a kid that may not be such a great athlete, but when those kids make those types of plays, it just fires him up, and he gets out there, and next thing you know, he's grabbing the kid, picking him off the ground, hugging him, and congratulating him, because he sees that everything that we've been teaching these kids is actually, these kids actually pick it up, and when something like that happens and the kid makes a good play, he gets out there and he gets super excited, like he's one of the kids almost.
Can I say this? Well, we went to California for a tournament, and we went on a tour of like Beverly Hills and stuff like that, and we're driving up, and there's like a mansion on the left, and there's like 2 guards in front of it with AKs, and we were driving up, and before the announcer could tell what it was, I was like, oh, that's the Playboy Mansion. And my mama like hit me. She was like, what you know about that? I'm like, well, it's the Playboy Mansion, I know. And Coach Rusty was like, We know what he's been watching.
In addition to starting the Lafayette Swampcats, Rusty would later get to coach in youth football All-American games across the United States. His experiences participating in several games, however, would lead him to his next move.
Man, they had all they got the cool swag, the lights and all the pageant stuff, but the talent level just wasn't there. It was one of these games that anybody could pay their money and jump in and bring your kid to play. And I didn't really care for that because I seen right away that they were just taken advantage of, and it just didn't look right. And then I went to another one where the talent level was through the roof. I'm like, where did these kids come from? Holy smokes. But then they got a $3 medal at the end, a jersey, not even pants, and a pat on the back. I mean, there was nothing it was not about the kids. The talent level was there, but it was almost like, here you go.
From there, True Talent Sports was born. Rusty set out to make it a different experience than what anyone else was offering. The results and growth have been incredible for Rusty and his family, who help him run the events and company.
We really preach that it's bigger than football. Our opening ceremonies, we don't just rent a gym. Opening ceremonies, we do a full Zydeco band, a Cajun cook-off to where they eat. All the parents eat for free. We have drinks for them. We rented out Acadian Village to where they come in and see the Cajun culture from our area, the music, the food, and just make it a whole event. We want that vibe. We want it to be a family vibe, and everybody just come have a good time. My wife and I and my daughter Hannah, Todd, Hayden, it's a family affair, and it's going to be theirs one day. We pride ourselves on making it organized, give the kids nice uniforms and swag and all, but still keeping the price point real low to where they can afford to come.
The first time we did True Talent, I think we had 100 to 200 kids the first time we did one, and now we're at 550 to 600. It's grown huge in just a short amount of time because we've only been doing True Talent for, I think this is our 5th year.
With the expansion of True Talent, Rusty's reach has gone from Louisiana to across the country and even beyond those borders.
With us two coaching together, we've traveled to roughly 13 different states, maybe 14 different states, plus to Mexico to coach football. So that was my first time out of the country, so that was a crazy experience for me. For youth football, it's been a crazy ride because we never thought we would actually get people to bring their kids across the country to just come play a football game. But then once we started putting that out in the ether, it was like, oh, people are actually starting to say yes. And then once the first one happened, we got so much positive feedback, and it was like, can't wait for the next one, can't wait for the next one. It's like, well, I think we're gonna have to do another one. And then that happened from having 1 game a year, then we had 2 games a year, and now starting from this year, we're pretty much gonna have 3 games a year.
You know, Swampcats gave us that platform to reach kids in our area. True Talent gave us that platform to reach kids all over the country. And as crazy as it is, I got 2 kids from Monterrey, Mexico coming in December that I have played against when I coached Team USA. The parents were so impressed with our team and coaching, they gave me their jerseys. I got them framed in my thing. They gave me their jerseys, and we've kept in touch. So they're coming to play in True Talent in December, and I'm so excited because, we've had a few from other countries come in, but that's going to be special to have these kids, that we've coached against come here from another country and really put on a show.
Being able to travel around the country is also a really good thing. Being able to see everything, but especially because we bring some of the kids that my dad's coaches for like his other teams, not just True Talent. Being able to hang out with them the entire trip, the entire time going, and meeting all these kids, all these amazing athletes from around the nation, it's just amazing. I love it so much.
While they have enjoyed great success, they've also faced many hardships along the way. 2019 was a trying year for more reasons than one.
In August of 2019, I was mugged in New Orleans. The guy actually tried to kill me. We fought for over 3 minutes. I actually had one of my True Talent rings on my hand, and that's what saved my life, because it was going to be him or me. I never really thought of it that way until I got home, and the ring was just such damaged, and that's actually what saved my life. And my wife looked at me and she goes, you know, football has saved your life more than once now. And that you know, it has.
2019, we lost a couple of kids due to just some horrible accidents. One was new to us, but the sweetest little thing. The other one had been in our program for a while and had graduated high school, so that one hit hard too, just because we had known him for so long. And then Rusty had an issue too. So that was a rough year. Football kind of helped keep us out of that slump, but yeah, 2019 was bad.
I was coaching our 10U team, and I lost one of my 10-year players. We call him Papa, Dotrieve. It was his first year playing tackle ball with us. Incredible young man at 10 years old, and was killed in a car accident at the beginning of the season. One of my hardest days I've had as a coach was having to show up at that practice after this happened to tell all my boys what happened. And I watched these 10-year-old boys pull together for him and have an undefeated season. We went to California and won a 10-year-old national championship, played an 11-year-old team and won that national championship, and just had a season that was all about him. And at the end of the season, one of my past players that I had coached, another player killed in a car accident twice in the same year. And those kids become a little part of you. Every one of their little personalities are different. Some are stubborn and hard-headed, and you gotta argue with them more than others, but that still all becomes a part of you. And when you lose one, it just rips your heart out, and it's tough. It's tough. I was told by a coach one time that you're not supposed to get emotionally invested in these kids. And for the life of me, I still don't understand how a coach cannot be.
Those trying times have, in a way, brought everyone closer together. There is a certain importance found in the bond that Rusty has forged with everyone involved with him, specifically in those relationships formed between the lines of the football field.
The whole organization finds a way for everybody who has a part in the program to give back or to receive or both. And it's just a very full circle thing to have. You know, between the players giving of their time, you know, towards the team, the coaches doing their job, Rusty on every single level that you can imagine, and being a parent to children when they don't have it. And sometimes it's the team moms that are mothering these players when maybe they're lacking in that area, or somebody to buy them a burger or just spend time with them or give them a ride or cleats or whatever. It's just, I think everybody really needs each other, everybody.
And you know, in our world today, where everything is so, you know, everybody's trying to put everybody against each other. And you see these kids out there, and they're black, white, Mexicans, Asian. They're all hanging out. They're all playing football together. Then they all go back to the rooms and play Xbox later. Then they come downstairs and we got pizzas out for them. They don't see any of that stuff, and it's such an innocence about it.
Yes.
You know, and you can see that's what they need. It's not just the football. These kids are learning how to love a person for who they are. You know, it's not about the race or anything like that. They're just out there to play football and have a good time, and they're gonna be friends for life. Half of these kids,
yeah,
you know.
Absolutely.
I love that part about it.
Rusty Noel has a coaching legacy with many wins, numerous championship rings and trophies, a vast number of former players who have gone on to college, and hundreds of lives impacted. His legacy, he feels, though, is as a father to his kids.
Everything they do, I kind of see part of what I've done as coaching. Because, yeah, you know, coaching is different than parenting, but not a lot. You know, I preach work ethic, manners. And I think my legacy is going to be just to be able to hand down to them and just know that things are still going to be fine. You know, true talent, Lafayette Swampcats, those things, it's going to be handed down to them, And because of the way they were brought up and what they've witnessed, I'm okay with that because I know it's going to keep in the same direction.
Coach Noel had plans to hang up the whistle and announce his retirement this season. However, he would wind up changing his mind when several opportunities that were too good to pass up came his way.
I had already said I was taking the year off from coaching Swampcats as a head coach. I was retiring this year. My 2019 team that I mentioned, that they went ahead and the majority of them contacted me, and they're all coming back as a reunion tour and asked me to coach one more year. I have a strong offensive coordinator with Josh Edison and a strong assistant coach group to where they can pretty much handle the majority of it. I am going to help coach, so I'm not going to leave them out there last season, but I'm also not going to quite go back on my word, so I'm going to help. What I'm really excited about is there's a local private school, Karen Crow Catholic. They reached out to me. They just haven't had the numbers of kids. Their program just wasn't what the school wanted it to be. They're not worried about winning games, but they're worried about building great young men and building a program. And my wife and I talked and said, I told her, our kids are older. We have grandbabies now. It's time for us to have all this time together, her and myself and the grandbabies. My kids can be around if they want, not a big deal, just mainly the grandbabies. But I told her I wanted to go out a certain way. And she says, what do you mean? I said, I want to build something. And this may sound crazy because that's what she said. She goes, you built Lafayette Swampcats to what it is. You built True Talent to what it is. What else can you build? I said, I just want something different. I want to go somewhere that I know I'm needed. I want to watch it from the ground up and build it again, 2 years, 3 years maybe, and just build a program to be able to say, I was able to build this, and that I want to go out on my terms. That's what I want to go. No championships, no nothing. I just want to build this school and this little program to be able to be competitive, but to know I touched those kids. That's the end legacy to the trilogy to Swampcats True Talent, and now I'm gonna go try to build a small private school program up.
we're up for it. And
Rusty made me athletic director many years ago because of my absolute knowledge of management skills.
They'll delete that.
These lights seem a lot brighter right here than from the other side. I was right there and I was like,
There's a lot of lights.
I was like, all right.
I did not need to bring one at all.
Look, and they still packed just in case. You sure we don't need some more lights? Are you sure?
Who's it?
The Castros, Rebecca and Johnny Castro, good friends of ours. And
leave it to the woman to remember.
I want to just thank them for all the things that they did for me and all the opportunities they let me see and get to do. Because without them, I probably would never experience those things. So to them, I really want to thank you, and I love them very much.